First, let me start by thanking Mira for her remarks. Please give her another hand. So thank you, Mira, for your thoughtful and inspiring words, and for setting the stage for us over the next 2 days as we explore new ideas, as we learn from each other, and as we deepen our thinking about what's working and what's next. Mira also set the perfect stage for our plenary panel that will help us dive deeper into the conversation about parents, those who Ralph has proclaimed are the secret sauce. And indeed they are. We have always known that parents matter. We know that in the work of ensuring that children succeed, no one is more influential or more consequential than parents. As their children's first teacher and brain builder, the best advocate and coach, and most important role model, parents are the key to any progress we will make on readiness, on attendance, or on summer. They are the key to children succeeding in the early years and in the early grades. And if parents matter this much, if they are as consequential as we say they are, then the question is this: what more do we need to know, and what are we willing to do to ensure that all parents succeed in the essential roles they play in the lives of their children? And perhaps more importantly, what judgments, or as Mira has said, ambivalence or unconscious biases, do we have about low-income parents, about non-English speaking parents, about incarcerated parents, homeless parents, the parents of some of our most vulnerable children? What judgments must we begin to set aside? We know, as Mira also reminded us, that we still have so much more to learn and paradigms to shift. At the same time, we're inspired by the growing recognition and maybe, just maybe, even a movement that all parents matter. We are inspired by new research, new tools, new frames, emerging studies and policy statements, technology innovations, and more, all intended to support parents and to ensure their success. Which brings us to this distinguished panel that we've assembled. Truly a rock star panel of experts and innovators committed to helping parents succeed, and who have so much to share about what they are learning. So without further ado, it is now my honor to introduce Dr. Jacqueline Jones, President and CEO of the Foundation for Child Development, who will moderate the panel. Previously, Dr. Jones served as Senior Advisor on Early Learning to Secretary of Education Arne Duncan, and was the country's first Deputy Assistant Secretary for Policy and Early Learning at the U.S. Department of Education. Prior to federal service, she was the Assistant Commissioner for the Division of Early Childhood Education in the New York State Department of Education, with responsibility for the state's Abbott Preschool Program. Dr. Jones has been a visiting faculty member at the Harvard Graduate School of Education and a full-time faculty member at the City University of New York. Please help me welcome Dr. Jacqueline Jones.
Thank you. So I am delighted to be here and humbled to be on the stage with this very distinguished group of folks, some of whom I've known for a long time and worked with, others I'm getting to know. So I hope that you will leave this session Having learned a lot about what we know about parenting and what the research is telling us that will help us to improve all practice, I hope you will leave here ready to reflect on what you do and better ways to do your work. And I hope that you will use this as an opportunity to think about how your grant making, your leadership, your bully pulpit, your influence can be used to support young children and their families. We know that children grow and develop in the context of their families and their communities. Even though we think our programs are wonderful, they are programs, and we must, as Vera has given us a charge to do, really think about how we can support parents. They can be co-partners, we can be co-partners, and learn from them. So the state of play for this session is that we have two groups of experts. To my right are the folks who are going to talk to us about the early years, little people, Matthew in particular likes the babies. And to my left are the folks who are going to talk to us about the early grades. So we're going to span that birth to probably third grade continuum. I'm going to tell you a bit, and I'm going to apologize to the panel in the beginning because I'm going to cut down a bit on their bios. They're long, and so we're going to make them a little shorter. So on the right, Ellen Galinsky is the author of Mind in the Making. My favorite piece of her bio is that she describes herself as a researcher adventurer, and that is truly how I know her. She follows questions that lead to answers that lead to new questions. Her work has always been ahead of the curve. She's helped to establish the field of work and family life, carrying out many studies at the Work and Families Institute that she co-founded. She's an author, and she has really lived her life by thinking, what can we do to keep the fire for learning burning brightly in children's eyes? That's Ellen Galinsky. Matthew Melmed is the executive director of 0 to 3. This is the premier organization in the country that looks at infants and toddlers. He's an internationally recognized leader and tireless advocate devoted to promoting health and development of infants and toddlers. He's been committed to translating what we know into what we do for very young children and their families. And so we're delighted to have him. He's been at 0 to 3 since 1995, is that true? He nods, yes, okay. And guided that organization to help enhance early social emotional development through promotion, prevention, treatment strategies in both public and private systems and programs. So thank you for being here, Matthew. And Dana Susskind is professor of surgery and pediatrics at the University of Chicago. She's director of the Pediatric Cochlear Implant Program and founder and director of 30 Million Words. The 30 Million Words initiative develops and disseminates evidence-based, parent-directed programs that encourage parents to harness the power of their words to build children's brains and shape their futures. So we're going to have 10 to 12 minutes from each of these early years groups, and we will give our due time to the early grades. Okay, I'll get it straight. We have a tight schedule, so you'll see people signaling about time. That's okay. They know that there's a little ejection seat that throws them right off the stage after 12 minutes, and that's what happens. So each of them. So, Ellen?